Hey everyone, welcome or welcome back to MYC Uncensored's Women in STEM podcast series. Today, I'm joined by Jodie Pestana, a very knowledgeable behavioral neuroscientist. So without further ado, let's get into it.
My name's Dr. Jodie Pestana. So I'm a postdoc at the University of New South Wales, working in the School of Psychology. And basically, I work as a behavioral neuroscientist. And so I work in the academic sector. And my work really looks at women's mental health. In scientific and medical research, females are largely underrepresented, and this stems from preclinical animal studies, where males are the default sex of choice, as well as historically in clinical trials when women were routinely excluded from clinical trials. And so this is true for many disciplines like heart attack, strokes, as well as mental health, and in particular in neuroscience and pharmacology. So in 2021, only 30% of preclinical animal studies included female animals on studies on anxiety. Yet anxiety disorders are twice as common in women compared to men. So my work really aims to correct this bias. So by studying both females and males, as well as looking at female-specific experiences like hormonal fluctuations during the menstrual cycle or during pregnancy, or his ability to regulate mental health and respond to treatment. So published a number of papers in this area, doing studies in both animal models as well as humans, so looking at that cross-species approach, looking at the impact of the brain, biology, hormones, as well as social and environmental factors as well on mental health. So that's kind of my main contribution, I'd say, to the field. Yeah.
It's a very cool career, and the kind of things that you do are very different. What would you say your passion was in, what would you say your story was in finding your passion for this?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think I kind of stumbled into this, really. I had no plan to go into this field or even become a scientist. If I was to take myself back to, when I was younger in high school, so more than 10 years ago, I finished school in 2013. I was really more driven to the quotations creative subjects like music and art and drama. So I was in the theatre sports team. I led a lot of the performing arts nights. I was in the string orchestra. I played soccer and represented the school in running. So a lot of things, nothing related to science. So actually wasn't really fond of science in high school, which I think at the time it was because I didn't really understand what science was. And I know science now, teaching in schools has completely changed, which is good. But at the time, it was a lot of just memorizing things and not actually problem solving. So I loved maths, I loved problem solving and actively engaging in that behavior. But science I wasn't, yeah, I wasn't too fond of, I guess, as a younger person. Um, And so I didn't know what I wanted to do when I finished. I think there's so much pressure for young people to know when they finish school what they want to do for the rest of their life when a career doesn't work like that. It's a very much a marathon, not a sprint. And so I listened to my mum, what she said I was good at. She was like, "You're good at writing, you're good at talking, be a journalist." So I started journalism at UTS. I found that it wasn't for me at all. Um, and that's also an important lesson I learned too, that it's okay to try things and not like them. You're not meant to have all the answers at any point in your life. Um, and so then I kind of was like, oh, what am I going to do? Felt a bit anxious about where I'm going to go in terms of what degree I'm going to do. And science wasn't really on my radar. But then I had a close family member kind of experience some mental health issues. And I got really interested in that space and interested in how people experience the world. And what makes people think a certain way, all these sorts of things. And so I did a Bachelor of Psychology, with which included an honours year, and with no desire to become a clinical psychologist, just to kind of understand people in the world a bit better. And it was during that time when I really stumbled upon the passion and stumbled upon how much I love science. Because in the fourth year, you do a honors year, like I mentioned, which is basically you run your own experiment. And so I was put in a lab with rats. And so I ran my own experiment with rats, and that included coming up with a question, testing that question, writing a thesis about it. And that's where I really fell in love with science because it was the first time I was actually doing the science. And I found it was so creative. I looked
Mm.
at women's mental health in that area as well. And I found a really strong passion for women's mental health as well because it was so understudied and it's really important. And it's kind of an area where females are kind of being ignored, which is not helpful for our medical outcomes. And that's, yeah, kind of where I stumbled across the love for behavioral neuroscience, love for science. And I can talk about many different reasons why I love science. Basically, it's just so creative. Yeah, so it was really luck, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. Mhm. I think a big thing as well with science as well is that it's so like problem solving focused as well. And it's like you're always continually learning something, which is really cool. Um, what would you say within your field are the biggest challenges you faced as a woman that you feel like other females might experience or something that's very specific to you?
Yeah, I feel like in my career journey, I haven't had any specific challenges or yeah, direct challenges for being a woman in STEM. Psychology as a whole is quite there's a lot of it's quite female oriented. There's a lot of female academics. Um, there's a lot of females that begin psychology in undergrad, and then it does taper as you get further up the academic ladder. But I haven't had any direct comments or haven't felt like I don't have a place where I am. I've actually felt like I really have a place. I've heard other stories from colleagues that I'm in this program called Superstars of STEM, which is a wonderful program aimed at increasing female colleagues have me or comments on their clothing when they're talking about science, which is just really ridiculous. Fortunately, I haven't had any experiences with that, but I think what I do get is because my work is kind of pushing to look at female, pushing to increase female representation in scientific and medical research, particularly in the preclinical animal world, and to encourage researchers to study both males and females. I do can get some pushback on that in terms of why do we need to study both sexes or yeah, just some kind of I guess pushback, I would say, but it's the researchers that we really need to start opening our minds and encouraging this because that's how we're going to go forward. Yeah, but fortunately enough, I haven't had any direct personal implications, I would say.
That's really good. That's really good. So in terms of if you were speaking to a female who was sure they wanted to do STEM, but specifically I understand that you're within the space of behavioral neuroscience, how would you kind of go about giving advice to someone who's kind of interested in it, but doesn't know if they would fit into the role? Like, what are some considerations they should make, or some things that they should look at to know that if they align with something like that?
Yes, that's a good question. I think with anything you do, no matter what topic you look at, I think it all stems with understanding what you enjoy, understanding what energizes you. So even within science, there's a number of different tasks involved in science, right? There's the idea generation, there's the actually being in the lab and doing the things, there's the writing up papers, there's communicating the papers. And within those, there's a lot of different ways of thinking. There's a lot of different tasks that you may or may not enjoy, and that's across the board in STEM. So I think it always comes back to first kind of reflecting and thinking about what are my strengths? Do I like writing? Do I like thinking about a topic for a long time and just kind of being involved in it? Do I like actually doing things? Do I like collaborating with others? What do I care about? Which I think is a big, big important question because scientists really, at the end of the day, we just care about the world, whatever it is, we want to make it better. So I think there's a few questions that I would ask yourself to firstly understand yourself, whether you fit in behavioral neuroscience or fit in marine biology or fit in physics or fit wherever it is what are you interested in and what do you care about? Because that's important. You need to be kind of interested in the topic, and that involves kind of being a scientist basically and doing a bit of research and talking to people in the field in that may be working in that field if possible, or watching some YouTube videos, whatever it is. What are you interested in? And do you care about this? What difference do you want to make? And yeah, how can you, yeah, does it align with your strengths and does it energize you? And the only way to do that also is kind of to test it, do different things and see what you enjoy. And yeah, a career is, someone told me this a few years ago, which I loved. A career is like a house that you're building, but you don't exactly know what it's going to look like, right? But you're going to put different blocks on it, different bricks on it, every day or every week. And so as long as you're working on the bricks, as long as you're maybe, I'm going to try and test coding, see if I like coding. I might absolutely hate coding, but I need to test it and see and kind of learn a bit about it to see if I like it. And that could be a brick or it could not be a brick to the house. So it's all different things that you think you might like. Try it out, and then as you go, you'll kind of then build this house of what your career is going to look like in the future, and it will keep evolving. Does I don't know if does that answer the question?
Awesome. So, in terms of your job specifically, what would you say the most exciting parts are, or the most, I guess, not as exciting parts are that you don't always look forward to?
Sure. So I think this comes back to the last answer that I did, in that everyone is different. So you got to you like doing. So for me, I'm thinking about science. I know some people that love the doing the methodology, like sitting in the lab doing, because behavioral neuroscience can involve a lot of histology work, which is like pipetting or analyzing brain slices, all these kind of quite hands-on activities. And some people love that. They go into another world, they get very calm, and they get the results at the end of the day or after a week, and they love it. For me, that's not where my strengths lie. My strengths and what I love doing and what energizes me is really the reading and coming up with ideas, because and seeing what's missing in the gaps in the literature. So the scientific method is basically, researching, coming up with a research question, and then having a hypothesis or an educated guess of what you think is going to happen. And that's all logical, based on logical research and what you think is going to happen. But then it also makes you be really open-minded, because then you test it and you might not get what you expected. You might get different results. Then you need to change your thinking and how you approach that question again, and what else could be happening. And then it also involves a lot of problem solving. You're running the experiment, and what happens if your methods don't work? You need to then read more or change things on the fly and do things really quickly to try and problem solve and fix the things going wrong. And then also something else I really love is communicating that. So communicating the science at the end, when you get the whole package, the nice little package. Science is like a story. You put all the story together and then you communicate that in a publication or in when you're talking to people, whatever it may be. And that's the parts that I really love. The things I find a bit more challenging is the kind of the really tedious um, lab work. But you got to do the lab work to enjoy the creative side. So it's a bit of a no job is perfect, basically.
Absolutely, absolutely. And final question, if you could impart any words of wisdom on the younger generation of females who are kind of interested or unsure if they want to go into STEM, what would you say to them?
Yeah, I think again it kind of comes back to this idea of, does it align with your strengths? Do you like problem solving? Is there a topic in science that you're really interested in? It could be maths, it could be engineering, it could be whatever it is. Find what you're really interested in, and if you're interested in it, go for it. And it could be something outside of science, but whatever it is, if you're interested in it, go for it. Learn the skills to go with that, because um, you want to be interested in whatever you do. There's no point doing a career, whatever it is, and you're not actually passionate about what you're doing. But there's no pressure to find that passion straight after finishing school or during school, because for the lucky people, that will happen. But for the vast majority of us, it's a journey, just like mine. I've discovered it years after leaving school. And so, but the key is to keep being curious, keep trying different things, learning about things, seeing what you are interested. Are you really interested in, the whales, for example, turtles or marine biology? Are you really interested in the stars and galaxy? What kind of makes your brain light up in a way that is exciting to you? And follow that passion, follow that interest, and keep going until you um until you, I'm sure things will come up from that. Um, and that, may involve studying an undergraduate degree at university, a science degree, or mathematics degree, whatever it may be. Uh, Um, and you can try that and see if you like the sorts of subjects that and keep following it. I think life is too short to be worried or afraid of what's to come, you know? It's if you like something, you can do whatever you put your mind to. I truly believe that. If you and we need more young girls in STEM. We do. We need more young girls and women pursuing STEM because, you know, we come with our own experiences, our own interests, all these different things. And it's not just a gendered thing, it's think people from all different backgrounds, from all different experiences. We need much more diversity in STEM. So we're answering much more questions and diverse questions because we need that different experience to have that different perspective. And I think that's really important because, just like me, I'm studying women's mental health because I've experienced as a woman and I'm interested in that. And so we all come with our own experiences and we're all needed in STEM. And there's a community and there's fun and there's lots of creativity in STEM for everyone, no matter who you are. There's always other people that are going to build you up, and because at the end of the day, science is about collaboration, and it's about being creative, being curious, and caring, and all those three things. It's a really fun environment to be part of. So just give it a go, I would say, and nothing to be afraid of. And yeah, there's always people above you that are willing to help out, be mentors. And yeah, it's a really fun place to be. I love being a scientist.